Hey there. It's been a while. I got a bit fed up with my slow computer making it hard to edit videos. So I finally built myself a new one. It's got them RGB LEDs. And it's very colorful. It runs my aquarium screensaver flawlessly. That, and now it's a breeze to edit videos. And now to start things off, I thought to myself, how about we make some onion pie? The main reason being that we maybe harvested 25 kilos of onions in our garden. If life gives you onions, make onionade. Or maybe some pie. And look at those giant onions. They are actually called Stuttgart Giants, Stuttgarter Riesen. But first we have to make the dough for our pie, which is more of a quiche really. I found a recipe that uses both wheat flour and rye flour for the dough. And that just works perfectly to give you a nice crust with a strong flavor. I started by weighing out 100 grams, that's 3.5 ounces of wheat flour. And as you can see, I wasn't very precise with my weighing. I'm 2 milligrams over. Recipe ruined. Let's start over. Then I weighed out the same amount in rye flour, once again taking some leeway with the measurements. I put the flour through a sieve, since my rye flour was a bit lumpy, probably because I rarely use rye flour. And with that done, I made a small mold in the flour, and that way we have some space to make a starter dough. I added about a teaspoon of dried yeast, just a touch of sugar to give it a little sugar high, and a small amount of water to get it going. Then it's just a matter of covering it with some flour and let it sit for a moment. I'd say about 10 to 15 minutes should be fine. My little crater technique didn't work out and some of the water spilled out. Now it's time to add a pinch of salt and some milk and get our hands dirty. While you could use a kitchen mixer, the amount is so small that it might not pick up the dough. The dough has to be fairly dry, but you probably have to add some additional water until you can knead it into a firm ball. And that might take a while. So while watching me knead for an excruciating time, let's talk about this episode's sponsor. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'll speed this up for you. And as you can see, I occasionally have to add some water. Well, my wife does, because unfortunately, 12 years in the Navy as a comms operator didn't grow me a third arm, despite all the electromagnetic interference. There we go, finally done. I transferred the dough of ball of dough, to a smaller bowl, and covered it with a beeswax infused cloth. That stuff is pretty cool, and you don't have to fight with cling film. While the dough is rising for, let's say, 30 minutes, it's time to grease up the pie dish. And this is just your standard 26 centimeter or 10-inch pie dish. I used some butter for the extra flavor, but you can use canola oil or margarine, whatever you like. Now let's take a look how our dough is doing. How are you doing dough? Well, it seems like it has risen quite a bit, which is nice. The next step is to roll it out to the approximate size of the pie dish. This once again can be quite a chore, since our dough is quite firm and dry. But it will be worth the work, since our pie crust is going to be incredibly crispy. I start by kneading the dough for a moment and then roll it out with a rolling pin.
No, it's not. It's a fucking rolling pin. Who are you, Fanny Craddock? What are you going to do with that? You going to bake me a cake? You going to sing me a song, watch me blow out my fucking candles?
And I kind of just pieced it together to make a somewhat round shape. Next I placed it in a pie dish. And then I pushed, pinched, pulled, and did whatever it took to get it into the right shape. It doesn't have to be perfect. I kind of like it if the top looks more rustique. And if anyone complains, just say it's cottage style or something.
Oh yeah, cottage style, yeah, I know that.
After all this work, it's finally time to take care of our onions. I expected to be needing quite a number of onions. Well, it turns out I only needed 2. Remember, Stuttgart Giants. 2 onions, over half a kilo. You need about 600 grams, which was perfect with these 2. I then started peeling the onions, and since they are so fresh, it was quite a piece of work. Also, they are really fresh, so my eyes started tearing up like immediately. Once they are peeled, we can start chopping them into very thin slices. You don't have to be super accurate with the size, since they are in the pie and you will never see them again. Well, there it is, a whole bowl of sorrows. Next we need some bacon. I have to admit I cheated a bit and bought some pre-cubed bacon. Yeah, I know, but this video has already been dragging on quite a bit. I set aside some bacon for later. I grabbed a stainless steel pan, which is way too big for my stove. But it's perfect for this. First the bacon needs to be fried a bit, and then we can add the onions. They have to fry on low to medium heat for about 20 minutes, while occasionally stirring. After a while they should start to brown nicely. Now we can set them aside and start preheating our oven. Set the oven to 200 degrees Celsius or about 430 degrees Fahrenheit. The final ingredient is the egg and sour cream base, or binder if you want. So I added the sour cream to a bowl and also some regular cream to make it more creamy, I guess. Then a good amount of pepper, and I do mean a good amount. 2 teaspoons of salt and some freshly ground nutmeg, and that is what gives it a really great flavor. Now we'll just whisk it together, and this is your final chance to give it a taste test before adding the eggs. So I did just that and added 3 eggs. Once again we stir it with our whisk until it is well combined. And with that, it's finally time to fill our pie. We start with the onion and bacon mixture and evenly spread that out over the dough. Then pour over the cream and egg mixture. And remember that bacon we set aside? Well, now it's time to throw that on there. Finally, we place that in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. And that's pretty much it. Once taken from the oven, we can cut it with the biggest knife you have. You have to be a bit careful because the crust is so crunchy. And with that, you can enjoy some rather shaky footage of the served onion pie. Well, I hope you enjoyed this, and maybe I see you next time if you want to hear another tale.